up, Planeswalkers? It's your boy K-Dog. Got a fun little Rakdos list for you guys. This one we're playing around Direfleet Warmonger. It's a new card from M21, 3 mana, 3/3. Orc Pirate. It's nice to see pirates continuing to get support since Ixalan. This one's pretty interesting. It's beginning of combat on your turn. You may sacrifice another creature. If you do, Direfleet Warmonger gets +2/+2 and gains trample until end of turn. So it becomes a 5/5 for 3 mana as long as you sacrifice something. The way this is worded, you may sacrifice another creature, means it doesn't stack, so you can't sacrifice multiple things, which I kind of try to play around with that at first, see maybe if that's how it worked, but in playing around with it, that's not how it works. You can only sacrifice one thing, so it's only a one-time effect. So it would be cool if you could do like multiple things and just kind of one-shot kill your opponent with like trample damage or fling effects or things like that, but fortunately, that's not how it works. But still, it's a pretty fun card, and I kind of played around with the early access event, but didn't really have quite enough time to really flesh it out. But been doing some playtesting since, and I feel like it's a pretty reasonable list right here. So obviously, we're running all 4 of them because we want to see this as often as possible. But you know, unless you're running like a Urian pile, you're not always going to see those 4 ofs that you need all the time. So we also need to kind of play it as kind of a Rakdos aggro list as well, but also keep in mind that we want to occasionally have stuff to sacrifice to the Warmonger, and we also have ways to kind of steal your opponent's things as well. So top of the list here, we got 3 Gutterbones. You know, this is a nice one mana 2/1, so it's a nice aggressive creature, and then we can sacrifice it to the Warmonger, and then if we do combat damage to our opponent, we can just pay 2 to return it from our graveyard to your hand, and then just pay it down for a single mana again, so 3 mana total. Obviously, we've had the Warmonger out in play for 3, so we obviously have 3 lands out, so that's something you can do. Just kind of loop that and just keep getting through with the Warmonger damage. Also, Scorpion helps you, you know, it's a nice 1/2, so it kind of blocks in the early game against if you're like on the play or whatever. With that 2 toughness, and then when it does die, you deal 2 damage to your opponent and gain 2 life. So just kind of that incremental damage can certainly make a difference in these aggro style lists, especially something that's a little bit on the jankier side we're trying to do. The incremental damage can really add up quickly and make a difference in certain games. So I definitely think the Scorpion is kind of a key sacrifice fodder. Obviously, we've seen it do well in the Orzhov and Rakdos sacrifice lists, and I think it fits in nicely here. But having the split here, also making room for something like Claim the Firstborn. Then we steal our opponent's creatures, sacrifice it to the Warmonger. We don't lose any of our board state. We pump up our Warmonger, and we give them less blockers, so we have more creatures that we can attack in. So that's pretty sweet. Eliminate and Heartless Act does give us some removal here. We want to make sure we have ways of getting through for damage. Maybe we haven't found our creatures, or we found one, we sacrificed one, and we're still struggling to find that second or third creature to maybe sacrifice to the Warmonger. We want to still kill our opponent's creatures so we can still keep attacking in with our Warmonger and things like that. And obviously there's just plenty of good threats. Planeswalkers even with Eliminate that we can hit. Priest of Forgotten Gods, whatever. Knight of the Ebon Legion. There's plenty of aggressive creatures on our opponent's side we want to get rid of just because they are threatening. Orzhov Enforcer fits in nicely here. It's a 2 mana Death Toucher, so if we're kind of struggling to get our combo pieces set up and kind of buy us time with the Death Touch, making our opponent not want to attack into us. And if it dies in combat, if we sacrifice to the Warmonger, it has Afterlife 1, so we get another token down, so we get additional fodder here to sacrifice to the Warmonger, so that's pretty sweet. And here's kind of a flex one, Unlikely Aid. I was trying to figure out some way to kind of keep the Warmonger around. You know, Kaya's Ghost Form is certainly an option, but since we're trying to be aggressive and we got the trample with the Warmonger, decided to go with Unlikely Aid here. Not a very good card really, but I think it kind of works just enough to make it playable here. Target creature gets +2/+0 and gain indestructible until end of turn. Instant speed. So obviously, once they see what you're trying to do with the Warmonger, your opponent's probably going to target it for removal, but they might, if they're smart, they'll wait until you sacrifice something to try to pump your Warmonger and then try to go for the kill. Well, in response to them trying to destroy it, you can give it indestructible and pump it up +2/+0, and so get additional trample damage in. So it would be a 7/5 trample at that point with the +2 and then the +2/+2. So it'd be 5 plus the 2, that'd be 7 trampling damage and indestructible at the same time. So even if they do have creatures left to block after they've tried to kill it unsuccessfully, it still has indestructible and trample. So something like it's worth taking a look at here. Also got Dreadhorde Butcher. Just nice aggressive creature. Obviously not as good as it used to be because there's arboreal grazers and things like that that just kind of stonewall it. But obviously in certain matchups this can be really, really good. 1/1 haste whenever it deals damage to a player or a planeswalker. So it's nice that you can also target planeswalkers with this and still get the counter. Get a +1 counter on it, and then whenever it dies, deal damage equal to its power to any target. So Unlikely Aid kind of fits in here with this creature as well, even the +2/+0. If you want to kind of use that to maybe kill your opponent or kill anything, since we can target anything with the Dreadhorde Butcher if it dies, and even just sacrificing the Warmonger fits in nicely as well. And Stormfist Crusader is a way for us to kind of draw and find our Warmonger to draw our sacrifice fodder, and also get through for incremental damage as well, because each player draws a card and loses 1 life, and has Menace as well. So it's just a nice aggressive creature, and it fits in perfectly here. And the 3-drop slot here, we have 2 Murderous Riders for some additional removal. And it's, lifelink your bottom, and when it dies, it goes to the bottom of our owner's library. So it was something we could always sacrifice as well to the Warmonger, and then we'll just have to go back into our library, or we can potentially shuffle it back in with other cards. A couple of Legion Warbosses here, since we're on that kind of the Rakdos aggro plan. Legion Warboss fits in nicely. And the way this works with the Warboss token is actually the 1/1 token happens at the same time as the Warmonger trigger, so you can't actually sacrifice the Goblin the same turn it comes into play to the Warmonger, because they happen at the same time. So that's kind of unfortunate, but if that 1/1 token does live through that combat phase, then the following turn, then you can sacrifice that Goblin token. So that's pretty sweet. If you are on that kind of go-wide strategy, and they block maybe a Dreadhorde Butcher or something like that, and then the 1/1 token gets through, well, that 1/1 token now you can use as a sacrifice fodder the following turn. Some more fodder here is Tibalt. Also stress down your opponent from gaining life. We're pretty aggressive. We're not really trying to get into the late game with this deck at all, so we want to obviously shut down our opponent from gaining life. And so having this in the main deck, because there's plenty of life gain decks out there, mono white, Orzhov, etc. Shutting down your opponent from getting life, and while making a 1/1 token that deals damage to any target, so it's perfect sacrifice fodder to the Warmonger as well. And finally, our top end here at 4 mana, we have the Akroan War. It lets us gain control of a creature for as long as the Akroan War remains on the battlefield, which gives us some perfect fodder for the Warmonger as well, similar to Claim the Firstborn, and also forces your opponent to attack with all their creatures the following turn, and then all those tapped creatures on your opponent's side are going to deal damage to themselves equal to their power. So kind of a one-sided board wipe in a lot of situations. Alright, so just 23 lands here, since we're mostly focused on the 2 and 3 drop slot, and just the 2 cards at 4 mana. So 23 lands should be fine, especially like Stormfist Crusaders, drawing us cards and things like that. So in case the game does kind of drag on just a little bit, we do have the 1 Castle Locthwain to kind of help us dig through our deck. 7 Swamp, since we are mostly slightly leaning towards black with our creatures and spells. 1 Castle Embereth, so we can kind of pump up the team for that extra little bit of damage. 6 Mountains, 4 Blood Crypt, and then 4 Fabled Passage. I want to make sure we have the fixing as much as possible, because we obviously have the Butcher and Stormfist Crusader, for example, here, that are black and red at the same time. So as consistently as possible, we want to make sure that we have those. But at the same time, we don't want to run like tap lands, like the temples that are always come in tapped. So Fabled Passage at least has the upside where once you get to turn 4, it'll come in untapped. But also gives you that fixing like on turn 1 if you want to make sure you get your Stormfist or Dreadhorde Butcher down on 2, just to make sure that you have that appropriate mana cost at those times. That's the main. Let's go over to sideboard here. So plenty of interaction for the control and mid-range decks with 3 Agonizing Remorse, 2 Burglar Rats, and 2 Croxes. And also against, we don't want to deal with Priest of Forgotten Gods or Planeswalkers. Obviously, Teferi bouncing our Warmonger would be pretty annoying, so Spyglass can kind of shut some of those things down. Necromancer is nice when it's a very kind of a linear type of a strategy, and there's a particular card that's extremely powerful against us, or we just don't want to deal with. We can just board in Necromancer and hopefully get that before our opponent finds their bomb. We do want a little bit of enchantment hate, so Pharika's Libation, which is also nice against hexproof. If you're up against like an Aura's deck, like a Boggles style with the Perilous Druid with like enchantments and things like that on it, making sure that they can making them sacrifice their creature and get around hexproof. Some more steal your stuff here with a couple Act of Treasons. Instead of Claim the Firstborn, which only targets 3 mana or less, Act of Treason just gives us that flexibility to hit pretty much any creature on our opponent's side. Not quite enough menace creatures to put in the tentative connection. We have the Stormfist Crusader, that's our only one, but it's tempting, but I think Act of Treason is kind of the safest play here. And then Soul Sear to hit creatures with Planeswalkers, and especially if they're indestructible, they lose that ability as well, so it hits gods nicely. Alright, that's the deck. We'll jump into some matches and see how it goes. Against iTech Spooky. Ooh, one land. Cannot keep that. This is better. Alright, do we keep the second Gutterbones? Or do we keep the Akroan War? I think I should keep the Akroan War, even though we don't know what we're up against. We just have all these early plays anyway. I mean, we're going to go Gutterbones here on 1, just because it's more aggressive, especially since we're on the play. Into Stormfist Crusader, and then we can kind of figure it out from there. We'll at least have the Scorpion on 3, no matter what we draw. And if our opponent is on creatures, then the Akroan War will help us kind of continue to push through for damage. Even though we mulliganed, we still have a pretty reasonable start here. Obviously, the Crusader will help them draw cards, potentially find answers. Okay, they shock in to shock our Gutterbones. Oh, Orzhov. Gruul. Orzhov. Ooh, I think with their shields down, we just want to Butcher here. Just tempting to get that Stormfist Crusader down, but if your opponent gives you an opening to Butcher, then I think you have to get that down and get at least one counter on it, and then we can start drawing cards next turn. If we find a land, especially if it's a black source, we can Scorpion. So obviously they're playing creatures, so this Akroan War should be pretty nice. Especially if we still have something that has like a bunch of counters on it. So I'm not entirely sure what they're doing. Okay, Gruul Proliferate. Pollen Bright Druid is going to come down as a 2/2. Alright, so they get to block and put a counter. Do we care? It's annoying, but that's fine. So obviously we're going to get this Stormfist Crusader online and start hitting some land drops. We get their creature off the board, and they get to put some counters on them, but that's actually fine because we have this Akroan War in the wings. And we've got them down to 11 with a Stormfist Crusader online, and our life total is still at 20. Obviously, they probably have some big power plays here, or ways to kind of grow their creatures pretty rapidly. So if we do struggle missing land drops and things like that, this could be problematic. But obviously, Proliferate decks can certainly put counters pretty quickly on things, especially with Orzhov out. You have things like Invigorating Surge, you have Hydras. Okay. I guess that kind of makes sense. Zertog Goblin, which would be aggressive. Obviously, they're going to choose counter here. I guess if you don't have Orzhov, you could probably just haste it in certain situations. So, sure. Put a counter on it, make it a 4/4. Yep, it's pretty good. Alright, found our third land. And our fourth land. Perfect. So we have Menace with the Stormfist. Yep, so we'll just drop a land. We can Passage next turn for a black source. And then, so do the after combat just so they don't see any this trigger is still going to go on the stack even though it has Summoning Sickness. We can still sacrifice something at the beginning of combat. So we don't obviously want. Hopefully they don't notice what this card is doing and see what we're up to. Yeah, I'm fine with taking 4. So now they have a 2/2 back. I think they're they're dead here. Perfect. Alright, we'll do you. Could have shocked in as well, but we'll just play it safer with the Fabled Passage, and they should be dead. Yeah, black source. Akroan War steals the Shaman. Sacrifice it to the Warmonger. Pump the Warmonger. Get in for 9. Whew, that was perfect. So even though we had the mulligan down to 6, we still got there. Of course, our opponent's kind of on some Gruul janky Orzhov thing. Alright. We don't have ways of dealing with artifacts. No Bedevils, no Engrass Rampage, so a little bit of a weakness. Claim the Firstborn seems like it's going to work against what they're doing. Heartless Act obviously does nothing since they're going to be focusing on counters. Soul Sear is nice if they have like a Clothis, maybe. But I think I'd actually rather just steal it and hope that we can kind of pull something off with that. We have Act of Treason, so maybe we take out maybe Tibalt. I don't think they're obviously Gruul's not really worried about life gaining. I don't think we need the Cruxes, Burglar Rats, or Remorse. I think we want to just kind of close out this game quickly before they get their engine online, making a bunch of counters. And yeah, I think I'd rather have the Soul Sear and Act of Treason in here instead of the Tibalts. And obviously Heartless Act does nothing, so yeah, try like that. So obviously game 1 went pretty well for us. A little bit of a slow start from our opponent, plus them being on the play made that look Made it look pretty good, but still nice to see that we can recover from a little bit of a mulligan. It's not great, but I think we'll still keep it. You know, the Gutterbones and the Orzhov Enforcer. Alright, turn 1 auto this time. An Act of Treason is pretty solid. Alright, I'd like to see either a Warmonger or a Stormfist Crusader here. Pawn Bright comes down again. Scorpion. I mean, we can always get the Gutterbones back later. Is it worth it just keeping them off of creatures or just blocking? I think we're actually just gonna play this one a little bit slower here. So we'll just let them do their thing. Don't want to give them a free counter with Orzhov. If they attack in, might even just take it. We'll see what they play here. We have the Orzhov Enforcer, of course, so we can just kill anything. I mean, it's got Trample. Let's actually just kill that if they're not going to play any more creatures. It's only one counter for Orzhov, so I'm not too worried about that. We still take some trample damage, but we get rid of their lone creature on board, and we get a swing here. I mean, I don't really need double red for anything, so I'm fine with just playing the swamp, holding open eliminate, and we'll swing 3 here. So could have a 4-drop maybe, like a Frenzied Airynx or something like that. Gruul Spellbreaker, of course, has Hexproof on their turn, so we can't target that with Eliminate when they're attacking. We have to do it on our turn. Okay, our opponent looks like they got a pretty sketchy hand here. They have a 4-drop, but they just came in taps, so they couldn't play it. It's a May ability, you can just decline it, or submit 0, whatever option it gives you. I guess they're maybe still learning the card. That's fine. Yeah, you can... Okay, that works too. Cool. Okay, up against Space Cobra. Well, that's a pretty reasonable opening hand. They go first. That's fine. Nice Kunros Hounds here, a good little boy. Alright, I guess we'll get our bones since they don't have a creature out. It represents 2 points damage if they still don't have anything to do next turn. Chandra's regular. Okay, so this is a mono red Chandra list. Cool. Well, we'll swing 2 since they're giving us that opening. And we'll just play the Scorpion. I don't think we need to necessarily hold up these. Although if they play like Chandra Acolyte, might want to heavy eliminate, but we're not really doing anything else with this hand, then that's fine. So they can swing 2, we block 1, take 1. If they just make tokens. No problem. We can swing 3, which doesn't not enough to kill Chandra, so I definitely just want to eliminate that. So we'll just play you. Just get that off now if I have a chance to untap. Alright, so they could have Chandra 4 here and start exiling to draw cards. Nope, Chandra's Triumph. Okay, they kill our Gutterbones, which you can get back. And they have another Triumph, so they take 2. So down to 13, but our hand is garbage. Stormfist Crusader is nice, but I'm not real hopeful that it's actually going to survive against a mono red deck. So we shall see. Okay, another Chandra Acolyte.
I've learned a bunch of new burn spells to try on you.
Not really a good spot here. So they're going to make 4 tokens. That's cute. They're tapped out, so we can block without having to worry about any tricks, like Infuriate, anything like that. But I doubt these Chandra lists are running any tricks like that. They're all burn spells, Regulator, and then Chandra Planeswalkers. If we have to, we can always Heartless Act the token. Okay, Butcher is actually pretty fantastic. Do we have mana to I think we're one off of activating it. We're 1 mana short to activate. We do get the Gutterbones back to our hand. I do want to go face, but this is kind of a race, so I do want to keep them off of... I say oops. Okay, I think we should have gone face. Nice. Okay, that's very cute of you, opponent. You play your deck, I'll play mine. Cranko. Okay, we obviously need to kill that before they get tokens. Do you have a way to interact with our board here? Okay, then a couple... make some more tokens, hit us down to 11. Okay, 1 mana open. So they could have a shock. Or a spectacle here. I think if they had a spectacle they would just fire it off. I'm not sure what they're doing here. I'm going to still activate this to discard. Here you go, opponent. Alright, well, we're drawing 1,000,000 lands. Huh. Could also steal the Cranko. I'm not going to have any other targets for the Claim the Firstborn. Get some 1/1s out of it to block with. Make sure to get that Chandra off the board. A couple of tokens. Grow our Dreadhorde Butcher. So no, Heartless Act cannot kill the Cranko. But with them down to 5, I don't think it matters. It doesn't have trample, and red doesn't have trample, so I'm fine with that. So they lose their Cranko. You get Gutterbones back.
Stands in my way is getting sizzled.
Okay, so they get 2 counters. Do I want to take 3? They're going to minus, I would assume, here on Chandra. So we'll chump, and then we go to when they go to do the -3 on Chandra, then we will Heartless Act to remove those counters. Actually, we don't even have to because it's already took damage, so it's at 3 right there. So they're gonna give us a couple emblems, and just pick off a goblin. Do we have lethal? They're down to 4. So opponent likes the oops button, so we'll oops them. Alright, so they don't really have much creatures. And they are not interested. You started the spam, so right against Gamorkins. Yeesh, 1 land. Can't keep this. If this was a swamp instead of a Gutterbones, that would be an amazing hand, but alas. Look at all the lands. That's fine. We'll keep, and Blood Crypt, swamp. That's fine. Also gotten rid of mountain, maybe. Another Blood Crypt. Alright. Looks like we're up against, is it? So hopefully the Stormfist Crusader lives and we can kind of draw ourselves out of all these. Okay. A riddle form deck. So hopefully they just play a tap out for a Sprite Dragon and get in for 1. And this, we just want this Crusader to live, basically, to draw us out of all these lands. If they kill the Crusader and we draw another land, then we're pretty much dead. It's not going to take much for our opponent to kind of push through for lots of damage. So I have no way of dealing with the riddle form. We have the Libation, which might want to bring in the sideboard. Although don't have many ways of dealing with that. We kind of hold up, you know, Heartless Acts and things like that to destroy it as a combat trick. But obviously, we kind of have to hold up the right man at the right time to do that, so it's a little tricky. Obviously, we can't claim the Firstborn or things like that against it. Frantic inventory. They choose to huh? I mean, we could have a board clear here, but we just kind of have to go for it. All these lands aren't going to help us recover from a board wipe, flame sweep, or anything like that. So, just need to keep adding to the board, kind of draw our way out of it. These Stormfist Crusaders are also pinging their life total at the same time. I think inventory is kind of a bad card in aggro list, unless you're like a Phoenix, where you're really drawing through your deck pretty quickly. I mean, it looks nice, but it just doesn't seem like it's good enough, because if you're doing something like Riddle Form, you're probably, at least the versions I've looked at and I've tried to build around and play with, is you want to be aggro and just kind of close out the game quickly. And Frantic Inventory just obviously gets better the later the game goes. And you don't want the game to go on long if you're running something like this. But maybe they're on more controlling, mid-range type version. We haven't really seen much, just Riddle Form, Inventory, and Shock. Alright, so let us draw a card. Now we can eliminate the, jeez, look at all these lands. 23 lands. You think we're like a field deck running like 30 lands or something? Well, we have one Stormfist Crusader online, pushing through for damage and drawing his cards. Brazen Borrower. Sure. We'll actually eliminate that while it's a thing. And since it went back to our hand, we can just easily play it for a 1 mana. Okay, opt. I'm not even going for the Brazen Bar unless they have another land in play. And maybe. There we go. Obviously, it can't block these. So that's their only play, then we're just fine. They're down to 10, which is decent, but not amazing. Down to 9. There's a Warmonger. That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. I think I'm actually going to passage just to hopefully stop drawing so many lands. Okay, they shock. Cool, you got it. So they probably wanted the card draw as well. That's fine. Alright, so we gotta get in for 2. We'll play out the Warmonger, and next turn we can hold open the Murderous Rider. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we even have 4 black to kill something, and then play it down as a 2/3 if we want to sacrifice it. It's obviously something we want to kill. So I won't hate a Akroan War or Claim the Firstborn here. And since they're down to 7, they just kind of hold up. Alright, 3 mana open. They could have a counterspell or a way to protect their Sprite Dragon here. Okay, they have a Petty Theft. Bouncing our Warmonger. That's annoying. Well, we're still getting in for 2. And we have 3 mana open now to play our Warmonger. Opt in response. That's how you're supposed to do it, right? Alright, so now they're staring down lethal. They've used up 2 Petty Thefts. I'm not sure if they're running Unsummon or things like that. I know I definitely do in mine because the red removal is only so effective. Shocks, lava coils, things like that. Only hit so many targets. They're good, but they certainly limited in like mono green matchups and things like that. We'll play Tibalt, so if they're just holding up a counterspell, maybe this will get something out of their hand. Okay, we'll make a dude. Combat. So the Devil is going to sacrifice to the Warmonger. It's going to ping them for 1. And then we also get to swing in with at least the Gutterbones. And if they don't have a way to deal with this Warmonger, then they're just dead. But I'm sure they have something. Can't block. Can only block creatures with flying. The way they play that, I'm not entirely sure they're aware, or maybe they just wanted to cast it because that's all that they had. Alright. Obviously, an Akroan War on a Sprite Dragon could be pretty effective, but not when they have Brazen Borrowers. I think we just want to take those out. Just try to lower the curve here just a little bit. Burglar Rat's okay. Obviously, Heartless Act is pretty medium. We're just bringing the Soul Sear just to give us more versatility about what we can hit. Let's just hit Sprite Dragons in addition to anything else that they're playing. Alright. I mean, we could just go for Act of Treason since it's a little bit cheaper than Akroan War. Still not sure that's quite good enough with what our opponent is doing. Croxo, I think, is too slow. Burglar Rat, maybe? I don't know, quite does enough. Maybe we want the Remorses, just to kind of hit some key cards out of their hand. They have a lot of, should have lots of card draw if they're playing it right. But still, if we can just kind of take a key card at the right time, it might be worth it. Or just leave Heartless Act in to kill the Brazen Borrowers, maybe. That's probably just better, just to have more removal here. We can kill Brazen Borrowers, we can kill Riddle Forms. They could be running like Crackling Drakes, maybe. And kill a Sprite Dragon if they just tap out on 2. This hand is okay. I think I like just having all this removal. So hopefully they kind of go for more aggressive, especially on the play. This is actually pretty decent. Now everything to sacrifice to the Warmonger is a little disappointing, but other than that, we have all this removal to kind of buy us time to draw into those lands and sacrifice fodder. Shocking. Okay. So they have, I'm guessing they have Shock and or Opt here, which is fine. Alright, now we got a Tibalt. So we can Warmonger. If we find a land, we can Warmonger on 3 and then follow it up with a Tibalt on 4, and then we go to combat to attack. We can just sack the token. Okay, Sprite Dragon on turn 2. So we want to kill that on our turn just to make sure they don't have any ways of protecting it. Just kill it while they're tapped out. And if I was running something like this, I'd want at least a couple protection spells, couple counter spells. Riddle Form, sure. We could open Eliminate again, but I think we'll just play the Enforcer. If they want to shock it, then we just get a 1/1 flyer out of it. And at this point, we're really just looking for lands. That's why I don't like Light Up the Stage or these cards in this kind of a list. Like, you want those counters on the Sprite Dragon ahead of time. We do need lands here. Obviously, they have a Sprite Dragon can come down and hit us. So they're gonna hit for at least 4 next turn. It's a little rough. But we're stuck on 2 lands. I think we just need to kind of draw our way out of it. And we have removal next turn. So obviously they're going to hit for quite a bit. And then we're taking damage from the Crusader, so they're still in the driver's seat. But yeah, things like the Spectacle cards, I don't really like running in lists like this because you just want to do that before combat, so you have the option to attack. They're holding on. We're tapped out, and you're not playing the Sprite Dragon, you're just going to let it go to exile. Okay. I mean, Riddle Form is pretty good against this. They must have some good spells in hand to kind of help them deal with this. Alright, so obviously we can't block, so we'll just swing. So we're taking, what, 6 here? Yeah, that's pretty bad. A shock. So they turn 2 of them. I don't understand why they're playing it so conservatively. I could have attacked with all 3 and got us down to 6, but now we're at 9. Yeah, I don't know. I do not know what our opponent is up to. Right, grab a second black source. So we have Gutterbones and Eliminate Open next turn. Obviously not in a good spot here. Forces aren't really doing too much, so we'll just hold up and eliminate. So pretty much Sprite Dragon or anything like that, or in a pretty terrible spot. But the Scry here as well, so then kind of it is a Scry 1, so not too amazing, but is this still pretty helpful. Options on the riddle forms. I assume they would make both of them. I don't know why you wouldn't. Unless I missed those riddle forms. Was one of them just played that turn? Maybe I missed that. I will kill you. If they had a protection spell, we're pretty much dead. Alright, so we get 1, so now we take 3 down to 6, so we have a little bit of time. So if our opponent has no interaction, we swing 3, put him down to 9. We play U and swing 5, 6, 7 next turn. That's still not enough. We Murderous Ride the Riddle form, take 2, go down to 4. That's pretty terrible against a shock. And Sprite Dragon deck. Play the Murderous Rider just as a 2/3 lifelinker. We have a kill spell. I mean, if they shock one of our creatures, it's better than going to our face, especially with us at 6. Okay, Petty Theft, that's annoying. And then we're just dead next turn. What? You play... Do they... Oh, they did not have 3 mana to play the... Okay, I guess they did not. They had 4 mana open, not 5, so... Yeah, obviously playing it down as just a 3, even just playing it as a 3/1 would have been better, because then you're representing 6 damage. And next turn, I don't understand what our opponent is trying to do there. We're pretty much dead. I don't think there's really any way we can close out this game. We'll just go to game 2. I'm not gonna. Let's give them benefit of the doubt. I'm not gonna waste my time while they kind of figure out how to finish this off. All right. So game number 3 here. Obviously they went first. That gave them a huge advantage in that style of deck. That all the riddle forms, they kind of misplayed a little bit. Maybe they could have probably killed us a little bit sooner, but fortunately we had pretty rough draws there. Stuck on lands, not able to really add to the board while killing their things, which is kind of our ideal strategy. We were kind of forced to choose between creatures and removal. Try to ride that fine line, but it just wasn't quite good enough, especially on the play. And of course, they always had the shocks and petty thefts in time to deal with our board. It's a pretty solid deck. Oh gosh. I don't think we can keep that. It's not much better, but Alright. Do we keep a land and trust the deck will provide? We'll keep a land. Well, we'll get rid of a land and trust the deck will provide. Fabled Passage. There's a land. I think we'll just Enforcer, Fabled Passage, and eliminate next turn. Obviously these Sprite Dragon lists are pretty powerful. It's a good card. Alright, tap land. That's perfect. They don't have a way to deal with our board yet. And if they just go for a creature next turn, we can kill it. Alright, get you down. Yep, play the op in response because it does nothing. Alright, pass turn. Alright, so now we gotta claim the Firstborn and a Warmonger, so we're in a pretty reasonable spot. I just would have loved to play everything on curve. Alright, obviously we're leaning towards black, so we want to grab a swamp. And pass turn. There we go. Alright, I think I should just Warboss here, just to plays around petty thefts nicely. We got the token, got the 1/2, and next turn we can Warmonger or just hold open and eliminate. See what they got. We're at 20. And they've had a little bit of a slow start. They still have tons of cards in hand. They shock the Warboss, sure. It's got a creature out of it. Okay, 3-mana open, they're just going to pass the turn. They were pretty aggressive with their bounce and removal earlier. I assume they would want to, if they have it, they're going to target one of these, even though it doesn't really, even though these creatures aren't really consequential. Like when they were at 12 the last game, and they could have just killed our. They could have just flashed in the Brazen Borrower as a 3-powered flyer, and then killed us with a 6. And they wanted to be cute with petty thefting our stuff. Okay, there's a Sprite Dragon. See if they have a spell to follow it up with. Ether Gust. That's brutal. Yeah, we wanted to draw that. Swing 5. Just gonna play it again, hope for the best. Obviously we have a lot of Rakdos cards, so Ether Gust makes sense. And they have Lava Coil. Alright, well, I guess they got this one. And we have double kill spells, so I guess we're not technically dead, but I mean they've answered our board pretty nicely. Okay. Good game. Yep, it's a good deck. And we were just a little bit slow against them. You know, we had good answers, but of course they found all the removal in time. So it's just the way it goes. A Lock Dragon. Alright, we did get a pack in that process, so let's see what we got. Throne of Eldraine, probably just gems, because the economy here is terrible. Hey, look at that. There's still so many rares and mythics I don't actually have, but all I open is gems now. So, Arena, thank you for your economy. Alright, what we got? Decks. Alright, so Akroan Warmonger. So just a fun, janky little list here. Obviously, we struggle against removal heavy decks. We have the Unlikely 8 to kind of help out with that. But you know, if you're struggling to hit land drops and the explosive like Sprite Dragon that just gets can get really aggressive really quickly, it's hard to kind of deal with it. But you know, just kind of depends. If you draw the right things, obviously, I think we still stand a fair chance in those matchups. You know, we have the Claim the Firstborn is pretty efficient at 1 mana, can steal their things and potentially help you close out some games if they get their Sprite Dragon at a decent size. You know, you can just kind of steal it and use it against them, especially if they're kind of tapped out or whatever. and just any other kind of aggro list as well. Like I said, the Unlikely Aid has been kind of a flex spot. Didn't show up in any of these matches for whatever reason, but I still think it's worth taking a look at to kind of protect your Warmonger while pumping it at the same time. And just remember that the Warboss tokens cannot be sacrificed the same turn. You can only sacrifice them the following turn to the Warmonger. You have to already be out and play when you go to combat. But yeah, the Stormfist Crusader is pretty clutch to kind of help you draw and get to your incremental damage. The first couple games were pretty fantastic examples of that. And yeah, Gutterbones is fantastic as a kind of way to get in for early damage if you can get that down, like say turn 1, and then you can sacrifice it later to the Warmonger, and then you deal damage from trample or whatever, and you just put it back in your hand, play it again, keep sacrificing it. It's pretty sweet. Orzhov Enforcer is pretty nice with the Death Touch and be able to get a 1/1 token if you sacrifice that as well. So lots of fun little tools, but you do kind of need things to kind of line up fairly well to get your Warmonger online and hopefully just kind of dodge removal from your opponent. And yeah, obviously like to see the Pirates continue to get support, and this is a pretty sweet new card. So I just have to kind of build around with it. So thanks for watching, guys, and until next time, make sure you jank with purpose.